Welcome to the Vox Pathfinder 15R channel, and we do not have a Vox Pathfinder amp today. We have a Carvin Bel Air 50 watt tube amp, and this is going to be part of the channel because it's 4 EL84 tubes, and I want to do some experimenting, especially piping the preamp out of a Vox Pathfinder into the return of this effects loop and see how it sounds through vacuum tubes, which I think would be really cool. But today we're going to be discussing how effective is a standby switch for silicon diode rectified tube amps. Now, traditionally, what you do is you have the standby switch in standby and you turn it on and you let the heater elements heat up, and the thinking is that once the tubes are heated up, they'll be ready to take the onslaught of current when you put the standby into on. Now, I'm a fan of another channel called D-Lab, and he compares the two amps, one with tube rectifier and one with silicon rectification, and he shows that with the tube rectifier, it's better just to put the standby on and just power the amp from a dead cold, and the heater elements in the tube rectifier will slowly warm up and bring the current up at a much slower level. Okay. And then he went to a silicon rectified amplifier, I believe a JCM 800, and he did it in both ways, and it showed that it didn't matter, that the current just spiked up no matter what you did. The thing is, it kind of bothered me because in my thinking, if the heater elements in these tubes aren't heated up, they're not baking off the electrons. So even if you put the standby on from a dead cold and power up the amp, I would think that the rate of the conduction would be very slow because there's no electrons there, and that the current would go up very slowly. So I just want to try that, and what we have today is we have a simple multimeter, analog, and I have it on resistance, and I'm just showing the setup. I'm jumping the standby switch, and I'm just showing when it's on standby, we have infinite resistance, and when I put the standby on, resistance goes to nothing. So that's just to show that I have this wired okay. But in the next part, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch this to DC amps to the 250 milliamp range, and effectively that's going to jump the standby switch, so it will be automatically on even if this is on standby. So we're just jumping that. So this amp's dead cold. I'm going to plug it in and I'm going to turn it on, and when I do, we're going to look at how much this needle jumps, and then we are going to do it more traditionally. We're just going to put the standby to on. I'll remove one probe, turn the amp on, let the tube filaments heat up, and then jumper it and see what happens. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's do the first part. Let's just plug this amp on. And I have my trusty capacitor discharge tool to help make things safe. So we're just going to look at this, and I'm going to put it on. Switch that off. So it didn't look like it jumped that much. Let me just try that again let me discharge the capacitor plates. Capacitors, I should say. Okay, so they're discharged. We'll try that again. Okay. So now what I will do, just discharge again. Okay. I will remove one probe and let the amp warm up for about 30 seconds. And then insert the probe back in. Okay. So we're just waiting. Now I have a foot switch here, which I use to switch on and off the reverb. Reverb's not connected. So if the reverb is on, the amp's noisy. So let me just toggle that. Doesn't seem to make a difference. I think this amp is very quiet all of a sudden. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're just going to jump this standby switch. I'll do that. Well, let me discharge. Switching it up off a second. Okay, so amp's nice and toasty. So there you go. It looks like the swing is larger when I let the tubes warm up. I'll do that again. See that? Like when I did it separately. Try that again. So it seems to me with silicon rectification, you're just better off leaving the standby to on and powering it up that way. I think I'm right. So I'm going to review this video and then I'll post it online. Okay, thanks for tuning in.